So, Labour has no idea how to fix the NHS. And I'm not just saying that for effect, it's exactly what their brand new 10-year plan just proved. All right, folks, let me ask you this. How do you fix Britain's broken NHS without a plan for actually doing it? Because that's exactly what Keir Starmer's government has just tried to sell you. Today, we're looking at Labour's brand new 10-year plan for the NHS in England, called Fit for the Future. It's 168 pages of glossy promises, big headlines about abolishing NHS England and shiny new neighbourhood health centres. But there's one small problem. They forgot to include the actual delivery plan. Yep, the bit that says how they'll do it, when it will start, how much it will cost, or who will pay. So let's break it down. Labour says they're on a mission to build an NHS that's fit for the future. Sounds good, right? Here's what they claim they'll do. Scrap NHS England as we know it and replace it with a new integrated body. Build hundreds of neighbourhood health centres with GPs, pharmacies and social care all in one place. Train more staff and cut waiting lists. Shift care away from big hospitals and onto local community services. Tackle obesity, smoking and mental health. West Streeting, the health secretary, says it's the biggest reform plan in a generation. Keir Starmer is calling it one of his 5 national missions. They want you to think this is the bold fix for a crumbling NHS. But here's the thing they don't want you to focus on. There's no actual plan for how to make it happen, no timetable for abolishing NHS England, no budget lines for building new centres, no delivery schedule for the promised workforce expansion. In fact, this is the best bit. Journalists at the Health Service Journal say the draft version they saw had an entire chapter called Change Begins. That chapter was supposed to spell out the immediate tasks for the next 3 years. It's just gone. Deleted. Health insiders who worked on it were shocked when it disappeared from the final published plan. Why? Because that was the part with the detail. Now you might be asking, why would Labour launch their biggest NHS plan in a generation with no delivery strategy? Well, the official line from NHS England's chief executive, Sir Jim Mackey, is that the plan is just supposed to create energy and enthusiasm. He says the real frameworks and instructions will come over the summer and be published before winter. In other words, trust us, we'll figure it out later. Sound familiar? Because that's been the story of British politics for decades. Make big announcements, get the headlines, kick the details down the road. Let's talk about the missing chapter for a second. It was reportedly going to be written by Alan Milburn. Remember him? Tony Blair's health secretary. The guy who brought in private providers to clear NHS waiting lists in the 2000s. He's now West Streeting's lead non-executive director at the Department of Health. I wonder how much he's getting paid. Well, Milburn was meant to lay out the practical steps. The bit where they admit what they'll have to privatise, outsource or scrap to make this work. And yet suddenly that chapter vanished. Make of that what you will. Let's get real about money. Because Labour aren't promising huge new NHS spending. They're under pressure to prove they're fiscally responsible. So how do you build 350 neighbourhood health centres with no cash? How do you train tens of thousands more staff without new funding in the budget? How do you abolish NHS England, a massive organisation with 6,000 staff, without spending millions on consultants, redundancy payouts and management shake-ups? They haven't told us because the Treasury hasn't given them the green light. Instead, they're selling you a brochure for reforms they can't afford yet, and they know it. Meanwhile, let's not forget who pays the price for this confusion. It's the families waiting 18 months for an operation. It's the elderly left in A and E corridors for 12 hours. It's the parents who can't get a GP appointment for their kids. This is real life. And now Labour want you to wait another summer, another autumn, just for them to figure out the delivery plan they should have had ready on day one. Because they don't want to admit the hard truth. Britain's NHS has been systematically underfunded, mismanaged and politicised for decades, and this plan doesn't change that. It just rebrands it. West Streeting said, quote, "Delivering this plan will not be easy. No kidding. Because you can't deliver a plan with no roadmap, no budget, and no accountability. This isn't reform, it's marketing. It's a government trying to buy itself time and headlines while the NHS collapses under the weight of unrealistic promises and political cowardice. So I'll ask you again, how do you fix Britain's broken NHS without a plan for actually doing it? Answer, you don't. All right, folks, that's the TruthCast UK breakdown. If you're sick of the spin, the hype and the empty promises, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with anyone who actually cares about saving the NHS before it's too late. Stay informed, stay sceptical, and I'll see you in the next one.